Okay, welcome into the D Gress Podcast, episode 15, Vince Carter, Tim Tebow edition, whichever one you feel like. A lot to talk about. Juju Smith-Schuster is a Chief. Tyree is a Dolphin. NCAA tournament still rocking and rolling. Will Smith decided to smack the hell out of Chris Rock. And to help break it all down, joining us from a beach in Florida, he's channeling his inner Florida man, wrestled the Gator. Yesterday, he told us two, actually got one of the Gator's arms off, and he's getting it taxidermied right now. So he'll have that hanging up in his room. Maybe the next time we podcast together, he'll be able to show it. Ethan Price. Ethan, welcome in.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back too. And joining us from his parents' house in Mankato, Minnesota. Unfortunately, the winner of the D Gress Podcast Bracket Challenge and winner of a free meal from the world-famous Brazilian steakhouse Fogo de Chao, courtesy of Ethan and I, Grant Castor.
Hey, I heard that. Thanks.
Congratulations, buddy.
Yes, thank you, boys. No,
you sucked the least.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good, and the early round treated me well. With a couple of upsets there. And, I'm glad on paper I kept Kansas in the Final Four because that was the cherry on top. I at least had one team out of us three. So let's roll.
So like I said, Grant is he's decked out in his Chiefs gear. So we have to ask, Grant, how are the TikToks coming along? I know Juju, obviously, joining the Chiefs, very active on TikTok. Patrick Mahomes' brother Jackson also very active. Have you been practicing your Corvette or any of the trendy TikToks?
No, I haven't. And luckily for me, I don't have TikTok. I just rely on the Instagram Reels and Facebook for my source of entertainment. But again, good thing Jackson's going out to Los Angeles. We're getting him the hell out of the Midwest and out of Kansas City because we don't want him here. If I'm honest. And Juju, he's on a 1-year deal, and he knows it's nut up or shut up, and he's gotta perform this year. So hopefully he puts the camera down. Travis gets his ear and says, "Hey, when I was young and stupid, I needed some guidance, and Andy provided that for me. So hopefully he can now provide that for Juju, and we'll change his team up and see what happens come August, September."
Yeah, and I think him being a number 2 right behind Kelsey, and I don't think it sounds like the Chiefs are still looking to find another receiver, so we'll see what they do there. But what are your thoughts on the Tyree trade? Obviously, it was announced last week he was traded to the Dolphins for a first, second, and a fourth in this year's draft. I think everybody initially was very not happy about it, but I think long term, I think it's going to benefit the Chiefs. They're going to try to get back to Andy Reid's regular style when he was in Philly, go a little bit more under center, and it hasn't worked a lot in his coaching tenure, but I think he kind of realized that they need to get back to being more committed to the run game. Is that what your initial thoughts are as well, or do you have a?
Yeah. They're similar. It might differ a little bit, but I'm not gonna lie. Last Wednesday when it was announced, I was starstruck. I was sitting back. I was not in a good mood at work. Everyone else was giving me a hard time. Hey, the dynasty that could have been is now over. The Chiefs are done. Everyone's talking crap. Hey, get ready for 4th place in the AFC West. And I wasn't having it then. But I had some time to kind of cool off a little bit and rethink this team, realizing they still have the best coach in the division, still have the best quarterback. So they're going to be just fine. And you're right, Dylan. I think they're going to change it up a little bit. I think they're going to be, like you said, a little more committed to the running game. I'm not sure if they're going to go under center as much as you say, just because that's maybe not who Patrick is, and going back to his days at Texas Tech in high school, who's always in the shotgun. But, go back to that first half against Cincinnati. They were running the ball, and they were being physical at the line of scrimmage. With the 2 rookies, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith at center and right guard. You signed Joe Tooney last year, franchise tag Orlando Brown. They just need, and if Niang can stay healthy at right tackle, they have a better offensive line, so they'll be able to dominate people and move and slow the game down in that aspect. This Chiefs offense, no one's going to want to hear this. It's going to look like the first couple of years with Andy. More Alex Smith, Travis across the middle, Juju on those in breaking routes. And then it'll be fun to maybe see Marquez Valdez-Scantling as the year progresses, once him and Patrick get a little more comfortable. And if the Chiefs can run the ball and you got to stop Travis from those underneath routes, that soon that cover 2 is going to become cover 1, and then he can take the top off the defense. So I was a little upset last Wednesday, but as the week and stuff goes on, I've realized, this team's still going to be good, still the best quarterback, best head coach in the division. It might take him a while to get this new identity down, but they'll be just fine.
Yeah, and I guess, well, it works out good for me. I feel a lot better now because I decided to bet my boss that if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, I'm going to get cornrows. So I like my chances this year that I don't have to get cornrows and we won't make a bet the next years. But so I feel good with that. They also announced yesterday that they are changing the overtime rules to where each team gets a possession and then after that it's sudden death. I'm curious to see how long this lasts. This almost feels like, for me, it could be a one-time thing like the challenging pass interference rule because a lot of the anger, frustration for this coming out felt like it was after that Chiefs-Bills game. But if they're just doing sudden death after they scored, Bills would have went down and scored, Chiefs would have went down and scored. I don't think it's going to change a whole lot. I mean, there's 60 minutes to win a game. There's plenty of chances. There's so many other things that happen in the game. And I'm not a fan of it. I guess we'll see what happens. It obviously gives the offense a chance, but the offense there's 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, special teams. And at some point, if you stop them, you get the ball. That's as simple as it gets. What are your guys' thoughts? Ethan, I'll let you go first. You've kind of been.
I don't mind it. I know I was pretty adamant about changing it. I like it. How often is it going to come into play? I have no idea. When was the last time it actually happened? Was Broncos and Steelers with Tim Tebow?
Well,
I mean, that's actually the time I remember. In terms of playoffs.
It was in the playoffs, the Patriots Super Bowl against the Falcons. Matt Ryan never touched the ball. And then also Chiefs Patriots and the AFC title game, Mahomes didn't get it. So those are really the only big ones for that rule change there.
Yeah, I like it. I don't mind it. It probably would have kept going on. I don't think any team was going to make a stop in that one, but I think give each team a chance. I mean, if you stop them, you stop them. That's great. If not, it's just more football. I mean, safety perspective, I mean, you can say it's a longer game, but they play long games anyway. So at the end of the day, does 15 minutes really make that big of a difference? I have no idea, but I'm just looking forward to it. It's more football.
Grant?
And yeah, I guess my big thing is I didn't care if they changed it. If they did change it, it's great. I was on the fence because, being a Chiefs fan, was I upset in 2019 in January that Mahomes didn't get the ball? Yeah, damn straight I was. But they also had 3 opportunities to stop the Patriots, and they didn't do it. And then the Bills had a lead with 13 seconds left, and they let your Chiefs go down and score. But I think to your point, Dylan, where it's going to go back and forth, I disagree with that because I think especially for a road team, if they get the ball second and they score, I think you're going to see a lot of teams do the college style and just go for 2.
Yeah, that is true. And I was more so referring to that Chiefs-Bills game in the divisional round where it was just – and sometimes it will, but, I mean, not every game is going to be like that.
Correct.
But, when you get those 2 high-powered offenses, they could go back and forth just the way the offense is flowing.
Yeah, really, the only way you're going to stop them is if you have a strip sack or an interception because, let's be honest, no defense was going to get a stop in that game.
No.
Towards the end, it was just going to be a track meet. But I think you just might see some more teams maybe, going for 2 and saying, you know what, like I said, especially if you're the road team, let's get out of here. Let's go home and let's not risk some freaky injury from happening for playing another series.
Yeah, for sure. And let's get into the meat and potatoes of the podcast. Like we said, NCAA tournament off and running. Final 4 games start on Saturday afternoon. Going to be all 4 of the big blue bloods made it, which is going to make for great TV. And we'll just recap the Sweet 16 Elite 8 games and then finish off with our preview of what we think is going to happen this weekend and Monday. So we'll start Michigan Villanova, first game on Thursday. Michigan lost 63-55. Michigan just didn't want to make layups. They went 12 of 29, or no, it was like 14 of 29 on free throws and dunks and layups, and then they shot 7 of 14 from the free throw line. Just had a lid on the basket. And when you against a good team like Villanova, you can't expect to win when you shoot the way they did. And anytime, and it's been a theme, it was a theme in the first opening weekend and continued through, where Villanova, nothing phases them. They just keep going. They take a punch. They basically rope-a-dope teams where it's, they'll let them jab, and then when they have to, Colin Gillespie, it seems like, just likes to land the knockout punch, go full Rocky, and end team season. That's exactly how that game felt. I'd ask you guys.
I feel like I undervalue Villanova every year. They're just like the epitome of like an actual team, like in terms of defense, offense, transition. They can do it all, but I never pick them. I don't know. I picked them the one year they won, but other than that, I mean, they just consistently put these teams in the Elite Eights and Final Fours, and yet no one ever talks about them.
I don't know. I feel like we forget about Villanova. The fact that, they're in the Big East, but it's not the Big East anymore. There's not a whole lot of competition. And they're kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say this boring school, but there's really no controversy. They're never in the NCAA spotlight. Jay Wright just wants to coach basketball and not worry about anything else. So I think we just kind of forget about Villanova because they're so consistent and steady. But I think, for Michigan, Dylan, this was just kind of the tail of their season. Great first weekend. You beat Colorado State. You come in, you surprise a lot of people and score, 76 against Tennessee. You had some super highs. And then you come into the second weekend and, you have these super lows where you can't put the ball in the basket. So it's just kind of a tail of their season where it's just that ultimate roller coaster ride. You sit back and say, what could have been for this basketball team?
Yeah, for sure. I think about it. I mean, they come in top 5 and then just up and down and just couldn't quite get that consistency. Interesting to see what they do. Right now, it's only Devontae Jones leaving, so I hope Dickinson comes back. Personally, I think with name, image, and likeness, it gives him an incentive to stay because he's going to make a lot more money in college and under NIL deals than he would in a two-way contract. But we'll keep moving. The other game that was going on at the same time, it was Gonzaga Arkansas. Ethan and I had Gonzaga winning it all. Grant had him in the championship, losing to the Vols. And Arkansas pulled the upset, 74-68. Arkansas was kind of in control most of the game. They did a good job in the first half of keeping Holmgren locked up. He had gotten into some foul trouble, wasn't able to play. And then, like we said in the Michigan-Villanova game, anytime Gonzaga got close, Arkansas just seemed to hit a big shot and just kill their momentum and just hit big shots when they had to. And that was kind of the story of the game. It's just Mark Few still is looking for that first national title. And I'm starting to think I have to make a note, and we might have to just clip this and just remind it when I'm filling out my bracket next year, is don't ever bet on these unproven coaches, whether it's Mark Few, Rick Barnes, any of these coaches that just seem to blow it in March. Just don't just on paper, yes, they look great, but when it comes to grit, and there's just something that they seem to be missing. And I'm going to make sure I remember that filling out future brackets. So what are you guys' thoughts on this game?
I didn't watch this game, but Arkansas has been impressive the entire tournament. I can't remember who the heck did they beat before this game. I remember now, but New Mexico State, they from two different completely games. I mean, 53 points versus Arkansas or New Mexico State. Then you score 74 on Gonzaga. It's just the type of games they can play. They can muddy it up. They can play the defense and everything, but then they can also score with the best of them too. And actually, their defense is unbelievable. I think we talked about that last podcast, but they might be the best defensive team in the tournament as of the Elite Eight.
Yeah, and I think Arkansas. One thing I saw right away from watching this game, they had so much more athletes than Gonzaga. Their foot speed, the tenacity on defense to stay in front of their defender and not get blown by Gonzaga. And again, that's showed now 2 years in a row for Gonzaga. Last year when they lost in the title game, and they got whooped up by the Baylor Bears. Baylor had a lot more athletic guard play than Gonzaga, and it showed. And then I also think for Gonzaga, again, maybe this is wrong to say, but the fact that they play in a weak conference, they're always, beating up these teams. St. Mary's gives them a tough game every once in a while. They're not battle tested, and when they get down, they don't know how to come back because they're not playing in the SEC. They're not playing in the Big Ten or the ACC. So then, like I said, they're not battle tested, and they don't know how to respond because they're used to beating breaks off teams and winning by 10 points, 10 plus points every single game.
And I don't think Gonzaga was ready for the physicality and the lateral quickness Arkansas's defense has and Coach K talked about it before they played them in the Elite Eight, that they have some of the best lateral quickness you're going to see in the tournament. And they do. And it was a physical game. And there was discussion about the officiating. And I think Arkansas just kind of said, if the refs are going to let them play, or I think Arkansas adjusted a little better to the tight game that it was called, and Gonzaga didn't.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And we'll keep moving on here to the other game in regional semifinal here in the West region between Duke and Texas Tech. And this was a fun game to watch. It was back and forth. It was fast paced. Panchero really carried Duke, I thought, in that first half, kind of keeping it close. But I think in the end, for me, I think the Duke just was able to keep up at the pace they wanted to play. And I think Texas Tech just kind of ran out of gas. Texas Tech was never able to slow the game down. They just kind of kept playing that fast-paced style that Duke likes to play, and it didn't fit out in. And at the end, Roach had a huge second half, and it's been a theme in the tournament is when Duke's gone to that 2-3 zone, it just freezes the teams they're playing, and that proved once they went to a 2-3, Texas Tech seemed confused. They didn't know what to do, and they were able to move on.
I don't think it was even talked enough about how well Duke played at the end of that game. I want to say they finished 8 for 8 from the field, or 9 for 9. Roach was just a freak in the last 3 minutes of that game. Absolutely just took it over because, Texas Tech hit the 3 to go up, I think 1 or 2. Then Roach comes right back and drills it. It's just back and forth, and from there it's basically over. But two good teams. Texas Tech they couldn't do the transition with them, couldn't stay up with them, their tempo, and just Duke kind of prevailed after.
Duke's talent carried them over the top, I think.
And then also, Williams took over in the second half too to start. Yep. And then, Duke kept making Texas Tech take the ball from underneath the basket after all, his high percentage shots they were taking. And then Duke kind of clamped down defensively. When, that's the one thing with Tech. They're a good defensive team. They're going to get after you there, but they don't have much offense. And if you're going to get into a game where you need to score 70 plus, I don't like their chances.
No, and especially for a team like Tech, they needed a guy. They don't have that. They're really good team ball, but they didn't have the guy that when you need a bucket, you go to him. They don't have that. And I think for a team like Tech to pull an upset, you need one of those guys that can just get a bucket when you need one, and they didn't have it. And Duke moved on to the Elite Eight, and the Coach K farewell tour lived on, unfortunately, but we'll talk more about that later. The other final game of Thursday's slate was Arizona-Houston out in the South region. Game played in San Antonio. I actually had the under on this game at 146.5, and it hit. Houston, it felt a lot like that Illinois game where Houston just controlled it from the opening tip. Anytime Arizona got close, Houston would answer, and Houston just bullied them. Like that's the only way I think you can describe it. It was just bully ball. They did a good job of limiting Benedict Mathurin to 4 of 14 shooting. He did end up with 15 points, but if you can limit him to that shooting, Koloko, he had 10 points. He was the one that's had a big game against TCU, scoring 28. And then Kirk Krisa came back, and he was 1 of 7 from the field and won 3 points. So I don't think Arizona was ready for the physical game that Houston presented, and it's just an incredible coaching job by Kelvin Sampson to get them back to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, just looking at the stats, I mean, it's not even like everything's the same. Total turnovers 2 off, rebounds 2 off, free throws both 17 made. It's just 3-pointers were huge. 45% for Houston, 31% for Arizona. Just the shooting overall, Houston just forced them into tough shots throughout the whole game, and even Arizona just gets in their head and they miss shots they usually made, especially Mathurin. He was just not nearly the same player he was the first 3 games. But yeah, just their defense just carried them to that win again, just grinding consistently on them, and Arizona couldn't handle the pressure.
Also, I think to piggyback on Dylan's point from earlier, where, hey, I'm not going to trust Mark Few. I'm not going to trust Rick Barnes, even, Fran McCaffrey, who hasn't been out of the first round his whole career.
I let you have that one, Grant.
They decided to win the Big Ten tourney, and their legs were tired and they blew it. But I wasn't able to watch that game. I was doing a little cross-country road trip, and Iowa basketball doesn't mean to me what Iowa football does, so that one didn't sting at all. But back to my point earlier, sorry to get sidetracked. When you don't trust coaches, we shouldn't trust Arizona as a team.
No.
With all the elite talent and elite teams that Sean Miller has had before he got canned, and, all the Arizona teams before that, for them to be a blue blood, why was their last Final Four like in 2001?
Yeah.
I think that's just a program we can't trust because they don't have that winning culture, or they don't have the it factor with them. And, Houston made a Final Four last year. They were a Final Four team. Kelvin Sampson's one of the better coaches in America. So I think it was one of those where we just got caught up with Arizona being 31-3. And even though they had that good record, the Pac-12 was bad this year. And, I think we just learned a lesson. We shouldn't trust Arizona because they're not winners.
Yeah, that's another one too that, like you said, I agree. Those were the ones I could think of off the top of my head. But yeah, Arizona, just as a program, you just can't trust them. And we'll move on to the Friday slate of games. First one was Cinderella story, St. Peter's, Purdue. St. Peter's they kept it close. Purdue, it was a back and forth game, and Purdue just turned too many turnovers at the end of the day. St. Peter's just plays great team basketball. Nobody cares about the stats. They just want to win. They play great defense. It was back and forth. They made it close. And similar to that Kentucky game, Purdue tensed up. Jaden Ivey just disappeared. He was 4 of 12 from the field, only 9 points. And like I said, it was a back and forth game. Nobody led by more than 6. And in the end, I think great team basketball. And we can also add to the list of coaches you don't trust in Martich is Matt Painter, who's been just there so close, just cannot seem to breakthrough. And St. Peter's, the Cinderella story, the slipper still fits. They move on to the Elite Eight, 67-64. Those are kind of my thoughts. What are your guys's?
Grant, you can go first if you want on this one.
I think for me, the big thing I didn't understand is Purdue, they had the advantage height-wise. Why they only put one of their big guys on the court through the whole game, that just didn't make sense. I get it throughout the whole year. That's how Painter did it. But when you have the height advantage over St. Peter like that, just put your 2 like 7-footers out there, and then just dominate this game, and don't give St. Peter life. When you're an underdog or a Cinderella like that, if you give these teams life, they're going to take it and run with it. And Purdue just didn't take advantage of that. And, that's why they lost in the Sweet 16 again. And again, another top 5 preseason Big Ten team that couldn't do anything in the tournament.
And it was also too without one of St. Peter's big men, Nadefo, who was in foul trouble most of the game too. So there's really no excuse. And when Purdue was able to go, or when they went inside, they had success, and they just, I think Ivy tried to force it a little bit too much, and it ended up biting them.
Yeah, to pick off of going inside from you guys, what you said, like Edey and Williams were both combined 12 of 22 from the field for 27 points. They shot 21 threes. Like what are you doing? Like, going inside was working. it gets you the open look so that you can actually get these shots where Ivy's forcing it, Stefanovic is forcing it. Like all these guys are out there just chucking these threes up that are basically prayers at that point. It's like work from the inside out, and I don't understand why they didn't do it more.
And you look at these teams that are in the Final Four. I guess I thought about this over the weekend. For me, getting the ball inside, getting those post touches is a lot like running the football. You might not have success right away, but eventually, if you stick with it, you keep getting it. Guys are going to sink down. It's going to open up more for you. It's just one of those things that it's not fun. It's not exciting, but when you're able to do that, and when it gets into crunch time and push comes to shove and legs get tired, brains aren't working as much because you're just exhausted. Getting the ball inside, it's a lot easier to make a layup than it is to make a three.
Yeah.
And to your point, Dylan, sure, 3 is more than 2, but if you're hitting 15 to 20% more from the 2, those points are going to add up so much more, and you're going to win most of the games you play.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll keep moving here. Kansas Providence. This was a game that Kansas kind of controlled. Got out to a hot start, leading at halftime, and I want to say they were up by 8 to 12 points. I can't remember exactly, but Providence, like they've done all year, they've battled back. They took a lead briefly, and then Kansas just after that lead, Bill Self called a timeout, got him regrouped. Jalen Wilson talked about it. He said he kind of saw him celebrating and feeling themselves a little bit. And then they just decided, no, enough is enough. And Kansas just kind of flexed their talent. And Jalen Wilson had, like I said, 16 and 11. Remy Martin had a huge game. He shook off a rough opening weekend, and he scored 23. And he really stepped up in place for the Big 12 Player of the Year. And I'm going to butcher his name, but Ochai Agbaji. Providence did a good job at limiting him to only 5.
Yeah, because normally this is a game where, in tournaments past, that Kansas would lose. They get that lead, they kind of get comfortable, and then out of nowhere, Providence slowly creeps and climbs their way back. And they did in the second half, and Kansas almost did like I said, what they do. They almost blew it, but I think Kansas, they had a moment where they said, nope, we're the better team. We've been a top 5 team all year. It's our time. We're going to put this game away because we just have the better players, and they took advantage of that.
Well, the scary thing about Kansas is Agbaji hasn't even played well, and they're in the Final Four. That should just tell you everything you need to know about them. Like I think he had one double-digit game where he actually shot it decent, didn't have to take a ton of attempts to get to that double digits. But if he can get going in the Final Four, massive for them. But yeah, I didn't watch a lot of the game, but they saw Kansas get up early, and I figured they would coast. But no, Providence did make a run at them, but obviously didn't prevail to anything. So yeah, I think Kansas is going to be dangerous if Agbaji gets going on Friday night.
Mm-hmm. Saturday.
Sorry, I thought it was Friday. That's my bad.
Yeah, and then moving on to the East region, UNC, UCLA. And UCLA was in control for most of the game. They were up, it seemed like, by 4 to 8 points. And then the Caleb Love show took over. 30 points, just got hot, could not miss. Baycott played big, scoring 14. Brady Manick continuing his successful tournament with 13. And UCLA is going to end up a couple games short of the Final Four. That was my last Final Four team I had in, and ended up losing. And UNC was able to get a win, 73-66.
Yeah, you said the Caleb Love show. Like, holy cow, he just took over in that second half. Pair that with 15 offensive rebounds, and how many feel like second chance looks Caleb Love or Brady Manick got out of those offensive rebounds was just insane in the second half, and that really just turned the game for them with probably about 8 minutes left where they started to really take control.
Because I feel, March is a time where always the team with better guard play is going to, win this game. And then, like you said, it was the Caleb Love show. I think, what did Carolina have, like 40 points in the second half, and he had, was it like 28 or 30 of them?
Probably around there, yeah.
Yeah, he was just white hot. The dude he couldn't miss, and when he started scoring, it gave some confidence to Carolina as a team. And, sure, this team, these players, they haven't sniffed much success in the tournament in the postseason. But I think coming from Carolina, having Hubert Davis on the sideline there for their title run in 17, they had that confidence to them. And, it just took over. And, because they got a lot of adults in that room and they weren't afraid to play in a tight game. And it, helped them prevail towards the end to get to that Elite Eight.
Yeah. And then going on to the nightcap of the Friday night end of the Sweet 16, Miami, Iowa State. I had Miami 2.5. I was able to hit that. I also hit the Providence covering 7.5. So I was 2-0 on Friday, 3-0 going into in my bets for the Sweet 16. Miami led most of the way. It was an okay game. It was Iowa State tried to make it interesting a little bit, but then Miami's defense showed up. They did a good job of challenging shots, limiting them to 33% from the field. They forced 11 steals, and Cam McGusty was kind of the star of the night, scoring 27, and Wardenberg hit some big shots, and that was enough to get Miami to their first ever in program history Elite Eight berth.
Everything we said earlier. Oh, Grant, you can go first this time. Totally.
I was going to say, I think this was the time when Iowa State's lack of offense was going to show up. And they couldn't match up with Miami on the athletic front. And, like I said, it just kind of caught up to them. They had a nice run in March. But it just, wasn't enough. But look at how far this program came in the last year, from winning 2 games the year before, new coach, you start the year off undefeated, and then Big 12 play is kind of, rocky for them. But to get to the Sweet 16, people at Iowa State, they got to feel good about themselves. And, it just wasn't their time because they didn't have the horses to match up, with Miami athletically.
Yeah, no, like you said, they're at lack of offense. 4-22 from 3. Like, they have no real inside presence whatsoever. It was just – they couldn't get open shots. Miami was too athletic defensively. They contested everything. And when Gabe Kalsher is probably your best offensive player on the night, it's probably not going to be a good thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that just was not a good matchup for Iowa State.
No, and we'll transition over to the Elite Eight games. First one of the day was Houston-Villanova. Villanova was a 3-point dog. I had them covering. Ended up final score being 50-44. Villanova, they did a really good job of keeping Houston off the offensive boards, getting bodies on guys. And that's actually what got Houston back into the game, where they were able to, in the second half, get some offensive rebounds, get some good shots. But in the end, like we've been saying, is that Villanova nothing phases them. They just keep finding ways. If they feel momentum creeping back in, they just go hit some big shots. Gillespie he struggled quite a bit. I think he only had like 5 points, but he hit the big shot that sealed it. Jermaine Samuels had 16 and 10, and then Caleb Daniels stepped up huge off the bench with 14 points. Obviously, it comes at a cost. Sucks for Justin Moore. Season's over due to a torn Achilles. We hope he has a speedy recovery, but Villanova finds a way to move on to the Final Four, and the Jay Wright Fortune 500 company moves on.
It's funny you bring up how they limited their offensive rebounds, yet they still had 15, which seems like a pretty darn good job by Villanova.
Like I said, in the first half, that's exactly what they did. I wouldn't be shocked if like 13 of those offensive rebounds came in the second half.
Yeah, just crazy. Houston made 1-3 all game. Like that's what shot them in the foot. They just couldn't get the offense they had going in the first couple of games, especially versus Arizona, where they shot 45%. So Villanova, give them credit for their defense, but just 2 extremely good defensive teams. Neither team shot over 30% from the field.
Yeah, that had to be kind of just one of those ugly, kind of boring games to watch. I wasn't able to catch this because I was actually at the Wild game on Saturday.
You got to see some fireworks in that game, though.
Yeah, I got to see some fireworks in that game. It was fun to, be back in the X, in a full house, and see that. But just from kind of following this game on my phone, Houston just like these guys said, they couldn't score, and usually even though they can't score, they're going to play such good defense, except when you run into a team like Villanova who can match them. And then Jay Wright's just a better coach, and coaching matters in March. But you're right, it is kind of sad it came at a loss for Villanova, because now you wonder how far they can go in this weekend without one of their best players.
Yeah, for sure. And move on to the second game of Saturday night, Duke Arkansas. I had Arkansas covering +4. Did not happen. Was hoping it was going to be the farewell tour. Coach K was done. But at the end of the day, Duke had a late surge at the end of the first half. Big three to end it by Trevor Keels to go up by 12, 45-33. Arkansas made a run. They got it to within 5. And Coach K pulls some Matt Rabbit out of his hat, calls a timeout, regroups them. They come out in that 2-3 zone, and it just froze the Arkansas offense. And Duke coasted after, and they were led by Banchero with 16. Mark Williams had a big game. He had 12 and 12, and that was Coach K goes on to his first Final Four in New Orleans.
I didn't get to watch this one, so I don't know a whole lot about it. But, I mean, I am disappointed the Coach K farewell tour is still going. But I do hope North Carolina takes them out here this weekend. That'd be exciting. But, yeah, it seems like Arkansas's little magic run just came to an end with that 3-2 zone you mentioned.
And, yeah, going into the game, I had a hunch that Arkansas wasn't going to be able to, compete with Duke just on a pure talent level. You can't match up with them with, the way Duke's recruited these last couple of seasons. And then also, Arkansas putting up the 70 points against Gonzaga, you kind of feel like they couldn't do that two games in a row against two of the, favorite teams in this tournament. And, just kind of luck of the draw for Duke to get in the Final Four and to have Coach K maybe have one last magical run. But, you had to think going into that they were going to beat Arkansas, and it wasn't going to be too close.
Yeah, for sure. And moving on to the first game on Sunday, Kansas-Miami. And I had Miami +5.5. I thought they were actually going to win. And looking at the end of the first half, I was feeling pretty good. Miami was up 35-29 at halftime. And then they got their ass kicked. Kansas just absolutely blew the doors off them and ended up winning 76-50. Probably their best game of the tournament. Definitely
the best half of the tournament.
Yeah, and Abaji had probably his best game of the tournament as well.
Yeah,
and
18, 8 for 12.
Yep, and that's really all there is for that to say for that first game Sunday.
I think
you don't see many teams outscored by 22 in one half in the Elite Eight.
No, Kansas just decided that we're going to regroup at the end of the first half. And we should be so much better than these guys, and they just took it to them. When you hold an opponent to 15 points in a half, I don't care if Miami's not making any shots. You got to give credit where credit is due. And Kansas, they put the clamps down, and with that half right there, I think that they kind of sent a message to the rest of this Final Four field, like, hey, this isn't your normal Kansas team who's going to falter towards here. We're not going to back down to anybody, and they're gonna come into New Orleans with a mission. And that's to win another national title.
Yep. Yeah. And it's similar to the same story in the second game on Sunday. North Carolina, St. Peter's magical run ended, and this game looked like a 2 versus 15 game. That's kind of the only way. Carolina jumped on them early. St. Peter's was never able to recover. Baycott had like 15 rebounds in the first 10 minutes of the game, and that was where vintage Carolina, they always seem to have size. They just used that size to their advantage and took care of business.
Basically did what Purdue failed to do, is just take advantage of that size, hammer it inside, and just run them over, essentially.
Purdue or Kentucky, yeah.
And, St. Peter finally met a team who matched up with them athletically and took advantage of that. Carolina, they didn't let St. Peter get any of the looks they want. St. Peter tried to take a lot of threes to start that game. They were missing it. Carolina was driving inside, getting those easy twos. And then you saw once they were building that lead up, you hammer in the paint, people are vacuuming in on that, and then they kick it out and they hit the 3 ball, and it was over. And That's probably how that game should have went, just because you look at the roster of the recruits that, Carolina has, and St. Peter doesn't belong where they were at. So Carolina dominated, and but I think this is why we love this tournament. You have a fun, great, awesome first weekend, but by the end of the second weekend, you got the Blue Bloods, you got the horses in the Final Four, and you truly have four of the better teams in the country, which is what we all want.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And going on to the Final Four in New Orleans, the first matchup of the game is Kansas Villanova. That game's scheduled to tip off at 4:09 Mountain, 5:09 Central. And Kansas is 4.5-point favorites. The over-under's 133. It's a rematch of the 2018 Final Four game down in San Antonio. Both really balanced teams. Obviously, the Justin Moore loss is really going to hurt Villanova. They're going to miss him. They aren't a very deep team. It's going to be I expect this to be a low-scoring game. One, because both teams are really good defensively, and also because the game is going to be played in the Caesars Superdome, where the backdrop's bigger. That's going to affect. It's going to be interesting to see how the players react to it. Both, it seems like that first night, they all seem to be a little bit off-kiltered. It just kind of that long backdrop, shooting-wise, just seems to throw them off. So I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. And in the end, I'm gonna go. My prediction is I think it comes down to coaching. I like Jay Wright a little bit more than I like Bill Self. I think the Justin Moore loss hurts, but I expect Gillespie. He's gonna hit some shots that seal it. I think Villanova covers and they win. I like them outright to win 64-59. What say you guys?
Okay. I'll do both of mine here because I got to get going. Mother's pushing me. We got to go to the beach. But I'm taking Kansas. Abaji's getting going now, and they're just playing some pretty damn good basketball right now. And then I'll take North Carolina. I think they're playing the best in the tournament right now. I think they are by far and away kind of playing the best. So far, their schedule's been a gauntlet outside of St. Peter's, but they've been super impressive. So I'll take Kansas over North Carolina in the national championship then on Monday night.
Okay. Little Roy Williams Royale, if you will.
Yeah, literally. See who he gets to, who's going to cheer for.
I think that's an easy one for him.
Probably North Carolina at this point. But I will catch you guys next week. And I'm sure I'll send you some great photos from the beach because everyone loves the beach.
Yeah, enjoy the beach. It's cold here.
I'll let you know if I catch a shark.
Yeah, just go before I Will Smith you.
Hey, know, Ethan, when you come back, it's going to be 34, cloudy, and there's no leaves on the trees. So enjoy the palm trees.
Well, actually,
it's
okay. It's actually going to be almost 50 when I fly in Saturday. So we have
good. He brought some warm weather back for you. Look at that.
Yeah,
what a guy.
Don't let him feed into his ego more than it is. His ego is already big enough.
It's already. I'm better than you, but this just proves it once again.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Just go enjoy the beach.
See you guys.
Thanks, Ethan. All right. So thanks again for Ethan to joining us. So Grant, now what's your Kansas Villanova prediction?
Again, I'm going to roll with the Jayhawks just because, kind of piggyback on what Ethan was saying. They're just playing real hot right now. And, they got the National Player of the Year candidate, and he's coming on in the second half. And I think the loss for Villanova, for one of their best players, is going to be too much to handle, because with this game, since it's going to be so tight and so competitive, you're going to need every single point that you can get. I just think Kansas is going to be able to manufacture that a little more. And like I said, I think after that second half against Miami, Kansas is on a mission where they feel this is their opportunity to seize the moment, and they're gonna take advantage of that, and they're going to be able to get a couple of more baskets when they need them than Villanova will. And it might be one of those where it's going to be tight and back and forth, and every team will be out of their timeouts, and it's just going to come down to a player making a play, and Kansas is going to do that.
Okay, yeah, so it's similar to me. We just have different results.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to be excited to enjoy some good basketball. And
Absolutely.
Going on to the nightcap, Ethan said he likes Carolina in this one. It's UNC Duke. First matchup, I bet you didn't know this, Grant, because I don't think it's been talked about yet, but This is the first time these two storied programs have played each other in the NCAA tournament. It's the first time Coach K is going to be coaching a game in New Orleans. I think he had a stretch where he made it 7 out of 9 years, and the 2 years he didn't make it were both were played in New Orleans. So his first time coaching in the Superdome. The farewell tour is still going strong. Duke is a 4-point favorite. It's the total for the game is 151, a little bit higher scoring than the Kansas Villanova game. And I think Duke is going to be trying to avenge, obviously, the last time they played. And Carolina's got to keep hitting shots. They got to keep finding ways to hit shots when they have to. They've been shooting as hot as anybody. Both teams have been playing really great basketball. Mm-hmm. You could maybe argue probably the two best in the tournament right now, which you could make an argument for all four here. But I think at some point, no matter what the game's going, if Duke's ahead, Carolina's going to make a run, or if Carolina's up, at some point, Duke's going to go to that 2-3 zone that's benefited them so much in this tournament. It's going to be how they handle it and come down to who's going to hit more shots. Both teams have proven that they can hit shots when they have to in crunch time. But in the end, Duke's playing for Coach K. They want that fairy tale ending. I think in the end, I think Duke hits a few more shots. I like Duke to win 78-71. I hate saying it. Actually, no, I love saying it because I'm a closet Duke fan. I have a bunch of, like, in my in the rest of my studio, I have just a bunch of Duke Coach K pictures. Just huge Duke guy. Like I just the best guy ever. Like I would love nothing more than to see a storybook ending.
We're gonna go right past that because that was the biggest load of shit I've ever heard in my life. That was a bad take at the end there, but hopefully your reverse psychology works. But it's gonna be a fun game because, like you said, Jeremy Roach, he's kind of been the straw that's been stirring this Duke drink in the tournament. When he's been getting hot in games, that's when Duke has came back and won. Look at the Michigan State game; he had a huge second half. He really propelled them, and then the second half, like you said, Jeremy Roach, he had a huge half, and then Williams was
been a Roach.
He has been a Roach to other opponents, and I'm sure Duke would want to. They're going to need that if they want to win again this weekend because Carolina, they're having some of the better guard play in this tournament, not combined but by individuals. Each game one day it's last time Carolina and Duke played, it was the RJ Davis show, and then the Caleb Love show in the second half against UCLA. So Carolina's going to need both their guards to come out and play the game of the year if they want to win. Because Banchero, he's going to be a problem because he's got that height advantage on Leaky Black, who Leaky's one of the better defenders in this country, but he just can't match with him in terms of height. Brady Manick can with the height, but Banchero's so much more athletic than him. So can Leaky Black kind of shut him down in that aspect? And then also one thing you said, you think Duke's can go back to that 2-3 zone. I do think Carolina could take advantage of that as long as they get the ball to Bacot in the middle and he can facilitate and they're moving around, or if he can kind of dominate the way he did. You get Manick hitting some open threes, Caleb Love hitting some outside shots. So they got the horses to do it, and I think they do it. I'm with Ethan.
Okay,
I like Carolina to beat Duke, and we have a Carolina-Kansas title game. I just say it because I think Coach K, knowing that this is his final run and, he gets to play Carolina one more time, I really do finally feel, I think the pressure might get to him. And, we're not giving Hubert Davis enough credit for how good he's been the second half of the year. I think, before the tournament, Carolina, they were like 11-3 in their last 14 games, beating Duke at the end of the regular season. And then this run they're going on right now, he's been a calming presence for this team. And I just think Carolina's outside play is going to be a little more impressive. They'll make more shots than Duke. So then Carolina's going to win 79-74.
Okay, similar to me. And I think the biggest matchup in this game is going to be the Caleb Love, Jeremy Roach matchup. I think whichever one of those two plays better. is going to be the winner. And yeah, it's going to promise to be some exciting games, and we'll get to the championship game. It's going to be played Monday. I have Duke Villanova. I think this is where Villanova's lack of depth really comes back to bite them. Duke just has better players. They're deeper. Playing for Coach K in his final game, and then everybody gets the storybook ending we're all hoping for, because we just love Coach K. The guy is just loves basketball, and he just goes out on a farewell tour that on a white horse.
I can smell the sarcasm on your breath through my computer screen. Get out of here again with that Coach K nonsense. But I think for the title game, this is a win. I think Kansas is going to take advantage of Carolina. This is when, because I worry about for Carolina and Duke, whoever wins that game, being on such an emotional letdown come Monday night, because they're just going to be, mentally and physically fatigued from this game. I think Kansas will be able to take advantage of that early. Carolina's not going to be able to make the outside shots in the title game, and they're going to be kind of struggling for some points. And, for the first time in 14 years, I think Kansas wins the national title, and Bill Self now becomes a 2-time winner, even though he shouldn't have a job, which is why it pains me to say Kansas is going to win this. But I think
Alex not going to kick you out of his house, is he?
What? No, he's not.
No. Okay. Well, that's good. But
nope.
Yeah, well, that would be a rematch from the 2008 Final Four semifinal. Gee, that's been 14. Wow. We're
14
getting
years.
old, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I have Duke. Ethan and Grant both have Kansas. It's sure going to promise to be a great weekend. Excited to watch both.
Well, then also, real quick, Dylan, for the record, since you have Duke, me and Ethan have Kansas, Villanova or North Carolina will win the title now. Let's just prepare everyone for that. We cannot have nice things when we make predictions. So
true.
We come Monday, it'll probably be North Carolina or Villanova.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see what happens. So we will. We're going to end this show. I told obviously Ethan can't join us, but I told them in our group chat yesterday to be ready for some curveballs. So this is the curveball, Grant. What is your favorite closet food? When I say closet food, it's something that people kind of look at you like, what? Like weird? Like, why would you eat something like this? And I'll let you, I know you're going to have to sit there and stew and think about this a little bit. So I'll go first. And I actually just found out about what my closet food is hummus. So when I went down to Arizona in January, to go golf, stayed at my grandparents' house. My grandpa makes incredible hummus, and you put a little bit of sauce on it. You dip it in chips or some veggies, some sweet peppers. It is incredible.
It's actually funny you mentioned hummus, because that is my closet food also.
Oh,
yes.
Did we just become best friends?
I think we just became best friends.
Yeah. Air five.
It's kind of a couple of years ago, my sister, she introduced me to it. She said, hey, Granny, if you're looking for a new snack, if you maybe got some celery, some carrots, Triscuits, wheat thins, whatever you have, go try some hummus. She said, it's gonna look like baby formula. It might look like dog vomit. It doesn't look good. But then I went to the store one day and I saw some, and I was like, well, I'm gonna buy some hummus, but I'm not gonna get the plain.
I just go with the plain. I tried the garlic. I wasn't a fan.
So I think I got like the red pepper and garlic sabra.
Okay. Yep.
And oh my gosh, it's changed my life. I can't get over it. You're sitting back, and if you're watching a game or you just need a quick little snack, and you look in your fridge and you're like, I got a half a bag of carrots. I'm looking at they've been open a while. The expiration date's coming up in about a couple of days. How can I get rid of these things without throwing them away? And I don't want to boil them, because that's just some work I don't want to do, and I don't think they taste as good. So I was like, let's try to dip some of these carrots in this hummus. And before you know it, that's a staple. So anytime, someone opens up my fridge, you're going to see a jar of hummus, and you're going to see a bag of carrots in there. And some people love it. Some people hate it. But in the words of George Clooney, when he was guest starred on Friends, God bless the chickpea for making hummus.
Exactly. And you know what? If they don't like it, that's their loss. It's just more for us. So
Exactly.
thank you again to Grant and Ethan for joining us. And we'll be back to recap it next week.
Awesome, Dylan. Looking forward to it.